OMG, baby, tell them.
All right, hey, welcome to Powered by Backers. This is Ask the Experts. I am here with Andrea Menard. Andrea, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks, Justin. Glad
Awesome.
to be here.
Awesome. So we're here. I have a great intro. I'm super excited to have you. We had a bit of a break. We're back at it. Andrea is our first guest after a couple days off. But I'll give you the intro, and hopefully I don't miss anything. But you're an accomplished Métis singer-songwriter, actor, speaker, trainer, retreat host, and the founder of the Sacred Feminine Learning Lodge, as we see in the background there for you. You're an expert in feminine leadership, and you train individuals to lead like a goddess, which I thought was really cool when we first connected. You're an advocate for the rematriation and reconciliation. You help women, men, and all gendered people to name, reclaim, and embody the qualities of the sacred feminine. That's just part of it. We're only just getting started. You're one of the stars of the Netflix series Blackstone. You're a 5-time Gemini-nominated actress, a 15-time Music Award winner, and your TEDx talk called Silent No More has reached over 126,000 views. You've released 4 award-winning albums, a symphony show, 2 television programs. You've performed for royalty, prime ministers, governor generals, residential school survivors, that's pretty cool, families of the missing and murdered Indigenous women, and even sang your song Peace to the world's NATO generals. You're born in Manitoba. You're a proud member of the Métis Nation of Canada, and your Anishinaabe name, which I won't say, means firewoman. Can you tell us it in Anishinaabe? What is it?
It's Shkotekwe, Nin Shkotekwe.
Perfect. It's firewoman. Perfect. So I want to say thank you very much for joining us, Andrea. Did I miss anything?
No, that was it.
That's pretty amazing bio. So again, thank you for taking the time to join us here on Ask the Experts. Primarily, our audience is entrepreneurs, business owners, people who are looking, visionaries, people who are looking to be those crazy ones that look to change the world, right? Because those are the ones that will, as Steve Jobs has said. So I'm going to dive right in. We've all been, I think some things are kind of going not back to normal, maybe the new normal, but I'll ask the first question. What have you been eating for the past 2 months?
What have I been eating?
Yeah, just in general. What everything
in sight?
Yeah, that's interesting. Everything in sight. Is there any staple in the household there?
Well, I have to say that when we needed comfort food, so I'm a pretty good eater. I love kale, and I'm pescatarian, so
okay.
I'm eating a lot of Beyond Meat and in different dishes, and I love vegetables. I need a treat. It's Haagen-Dazs.
Haagen-Dazs ice cream. There you go.
Ice cream. Yeah.
Awesome. There you go. And it's the time of year now too, with the summer months ahead, to get out, enjoy some ice cream. Perfect. Okay, so we'll get right into it. You mentioned a topic that you'd like to kind of talk about that you're going through maybe in your life. Tell us a little bit about, you mentioned that you're looking at sort of changing lanes and going from being more of the performance side maybe into the business side. Tell us a little bit about how that's going for you and what, some ideas around that you're encountering.
Well, I have been going for years. I have a very successful career as a singer and as an actor. So I've been very lucky to have this success. I also knew that in private, I have, I've been definitely, I say a spiritual journey because in a way, this Sacred Feminine Learning Lodge is kind of a lane within the wellness business.
Okay.
So it's more about wellness for humanity, of becoming balanced in our world. And from being Indigenous, it's like I can't separate the two. So as an actor and a singer, I had a persona I was the bitch on Blackstone.
Okay.
So like there's people who like me that way. And then
Right.
there's the ones who like the music that I've created. So anything that has come from me,
Right.
whether it's, my songwriting, my stories, my movies that I've written, the one woman show, my television special, my symphony show, anything that's come from me, people have known that there's a certain wellness bent to it.
Sort of a message behind it.
Yeah, right.
Right.
So, but there are people that didn't know that about me. There's part of me that knows me as actors and didn't know me as singers, and there's singers who
Right.
knew me but didn't know me as the bitch on Blackstone.
Right.
Sorry,
Right.
keep swearing in your thing.
That's okay.
Um,
I say fuck all the time, so it's all good.
okay,
We're all good. We're all good.
yeah. So so I had all these different fans,
Okay.
and I had a big following, but I had no idea what they were here for.
Right.
So I didn't have that very planned very well. So when I decided, so I've been a speaker my whole life, but I had never had one specific lane that I was talking about. And I would go over here and talk about this, and I'd go over here and talk about something completely different. And I was writing a new speech every time I went.
Right.
And that's, of course, not very smart. So 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago, I started to realize that I wanted to get specific. I wanted to pick a lane because I had all these people that wanted to hear from me, but I didn't know what to say to them.
Right.
I didn't know if this person wanted me to talk about this, or this one wanted me to talk about this, or this one wanted me to talk about this. So I decided to just start putting things out. And from me. So 4 years ago, I think we froze. Sorry.
Yeah, we froze. That's okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we froze for a second. So you were there. You're saying people were unsure about what,
Yeah.
or you were unsure what people wanted. So you started just to put out content.
Yeah. I just started putting out content, and I started weeding out the ones that wanted me to be that character from that show.
Right.
And then, so it's been a 4-year journey. So for those of you who are wanting to shift lanes or to go, yeah, I'm known as this, but I really want to do this, it does take time.
Right.
It does take time to sort of make your move, make your change. Because, this logo, I had a whole other look for my newsletters and for all these things. And it's like I had to go, okay, I was given a new name recently, my Anishinaabe name. Around, things might come out a little different. So and so they expect the change when they get it.
Right. And
so I guess what I'm saying is that it's not an easy change. It's gradual,
right.
But I probably a business owner. I wasn't necessarily an entrepreneur in the beginning. I probably went about it a little messy. So my newsletter was the first way of me connecting with my audience specific. And once you get specific about, because before I thought, well, everyone's my fan, but I, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, know this, like who is your number one person that you're trying to sell to help, to connect to.
Right.
And I had to figure that out.
It's that focus. Definitely. It's a lot of people think everyone, and I want to be liked by everyone and loved by all, but you can't do that because you'll be known by nobody, right? I mean, you need to have a very specific, at least message or target audience so that you can speak to them and then resonate with their thoughts and feelings and likes and dislikes. And then hopefully that aligns with what you're doing as well. So
totally.
Very, very interesting that, you came from sort of disparate worlds. So let's take a step back. Tell us a little bit of how you got into, because you've alluded to it a little bit, how you got into sort of acting, singing, songwriting, a lot. I mean, I listed all the accolades of people that you've performed in front of. How did you get into that? And what was that world like? And now you've sort of shifted into the business world. Let's talk a little bit about that though, just your experiences in the performing side. Because I think that's interesting. A lot of people haven't had that type of success. Very few, I would say, have had any type of success like that.
Well, because I see things through the Indigenous lens and probably mostly through a spiritual lens, I just knew that I just followed what my calling was. This is
Right.
what I'm here to do.
Right.
And most of us, when we follow that, we're just led to where we're meant to go.
Right.
I was never just like, I was never one thing though. So yes, I could sing as a child. I had this voice that, as my elder said, it's like the grandmothers came through me. So I've always known that,
Right.
but I didn't actually ever want the big stardom of being a singer. I was never really attracted to that. I wanted to sing, and I wanted to sing in front of people. Stardom wasn't my thing. And then as soon as I started, and all I wanted to do, and acting was something where I got to dive into the why people do the things they do. Why do humans act like this? We're so odd, so I
The
got to ask those
backstory of
questions.
people, right? You can start to
Yeah.
really dive
I
into
had,
like a character and sort of maybe the persona of who they might be and really
yeah, I had
delve into
to
that,
ask
right?
deep questions, the
Yeah,
deep
yeah,
questions of life and my
yeah.
characters. I couldn't do something if I didn't understand why my character did it. So I
Right,
had to ask questions.
right,
And that really appealed to that spiritual part of me, the one that wanted to deep dive into human nature. So at the same time, I knew that I was never just one or the other. And they emerged, luckily for me, at the same time. So I never really had to say, oh, I'm just a singer or I'm
to
just an actor.
choose.
I was
Right,
always both. Yeah.
right,
And I started in theater. I got my first acting film job in theater school. I started my first band in theater school. So it's like I came from the bush, this bush girl who knew nothing about any industry, didn't even know that theater existed.
right,
I did actor froze in.
right. That's
You had
okay.
to go.
Where did you go? Where did you go to theater school? That's okay.
I
We'll
just
play
went to
through it. It's all good.
a regional university in
Okay,
Saskatoon.
okay,
Yeah. So every theater, if you want to get training, but theater training is amazing. Get
right,
good chops, because everyone can have a look and good, but if you can't act
right,
15 times in a row, you're not going to cut it. Right.
right,
So get some training, and I got training at a theater school, but I in theater right away, and then film happened at the same time. So I was and music. So it's like they all kind of happened, and I had to learn everything at once and
right.
test.
That's cool. So it was a good experience. And then obviously, like you said, you had success sort of at the same time in both worlds. So you didn't have to make that choice. So that's interesting. And then you were able to sort of carry that to a number of different either roles or performances and albums, and be able to sort of be very creative. So it seems to me you're very, very creative. You said you're in touch with sort of the spiritual or so tell us a little bit, because I always think creativity is maybe one of the least appreciated maybe skill sets in the world in general, but specifically in the business world, right? People look at
Oh,
structure, sorry, and processes, but the ability to sort of think creatively is, I think, key. So I don't know, what are your thoughts on, maybe we'll just sort of delve into creativity and your thoughts on that and how maybe that ties into what you've done and where you're going.
great question. Oh my gosh. Entrepreneurs are absolutely creative beings, and they have to be, and they have to just own that, because creativity is the key. Just like you said, I am definitely a creative being. I thrive on that. I love that, those inner worlds of where, if I'm in the womb of creation, I
Right,
really that part. And entrepreneurs have to, um, when you birth something out of nothing, which is what entrepreneurs do. They, in meditation, while they're going for a run, and they act on it. That's the difference. Every single person on this planet is creative, but
right,
do they act on it? Do they get fired up? Do they have the desire to bring it into fruition?
right,
That's an entrepreneur, and that is pretty exciting. So for me, the acting and singing and creative world, because those songwriters and writers and actors, they're diving into those creative realms.
Right.
They do that easily. But so do entrepreneurs, which is why to me it was a kind of an easy transition,
Transition. Right.
because the people who dive into those realms, whatever they are, and desire for it to come, like to bring it through, from the creative realms into the physical realm, that takes commitment, it takes focus, and it takes vision.
Yeah.
And visionaries, as you said right at the beginning, visionaries on this planet are going to help us lead us out of where we're at, in a
Whatever the
global
problems.
pandemic, in a brink of a climate crisis, the new dreams and visions that entrepreneurs are visioning right now are the key to our healthy future. And I love entrepreneurs. I think they're so exciting. So
That's, yeah,
I'm
no,
glad you're helping them.
we're trying. We're definitely trying. And I mean, I've said this a few times where I think, entrepreneurs and the businesses, and I joke, this is my joke, backers. So backers and our platform and all the entrepreneurs that come through our platform will save the world, right? Because all of the ideas that will come through, whether it's through us or other similar type platforms or programs, that will save the world. And you kind of touched on it, the courage of maybe seeing an opportunity or an idea and then being able to often go against the establishment, the norm, right, with that idea, and be able to persevere through it is probably one of the strengths of entrepreneurship that, again, people don't really talk about, right? It's coming up with the idea while you're running or doing whatever, but then being able to actually act on it and have the sort of fortitude to kind of push through and persevere. So I think we maybe have frozen. Are we there? We're there. Did you hear me? What I said?
We're back. Yeah,
We're back.
I did.
Okay, cool. Okay.
I heard
You
everything.
heard it? All right. So why don't we talk a little bit about then what you're doing now with the Sacred Feminine Learning Lodge and your transition to that, and tell us about a little bit about what you do with the Sacred Feminine Learning Lodge.
Well, thank you. The thing that you just said to me was a great segue, which is you said the courage to think outside the box, like to what's existing, to go, nah, that doesn't work for me. That does take tremendous courage.
Right.
And the Sacred Feminine Learning Lodge is all about bringing the sacred feminine into our masculine systems. And this is not male and female. This isn't all bad, good. All of the systems in place right now are masculine in nature.
Okay.
And their priority creativity, entering into those stillness, intuitive, emotional wisdom. Those things are not, or even receiving, not qualities necessary, or they weren't when they were established, right? Those systems are very rigid and rule are probably part of this rise of the sacred feminine that my elders talk about, which means that there is a rise of creativity. There's a rise of voices that have not been heard. There's parents, men who are nurturing their children.
Right.
There's a rise of caring for the earth, right?
Right.
So these systems are old. They have to evolve for us to get away from this brink of climate crisis, right? Or a global pandemic. Weird.
Right.
So what I do is that I women, men, all genders to themselves is to be, especially are helping facilitate the rise of the sacred feminine by diving into those rules, by going into their intuition, going and dancing in those creative realms, because that's where the new solutions live. They don't live in the existing systems. They live out. So it's like we all have to be brave enough to break the rules, kind of shift out of those systems or change the systems from within.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing. So of course, being in this time of isolation, this is a time of the sacred feminine, and hopefully people are diving into those creative realms, into meditation, into figuring out, whoa, man, what is going on? But
Right.
an entrepreneur will dive in, and it's so exciting.
It's interesting you mentioned, so I mean, not to simplify, but I always use the term like taking a step back, right?
Mhm.
And sort of like looking at it and sort of analyzing and thinking about things and maybe not jumping to conclusions. So I like the way you said sort of it's not, and maybe just for my own purposes, just make sure I understand it properly, and maybe those who are watching. So obviously it's feminine, masculine, not necessarily male, female, but it's more of like an emotional, intuitive, creative versus sort of a rigid, structured, that's how it's been done for years, so we're going to continue to do so, which I think is almost a entrepreneurial trait, is the sacred feminine, like you said, using your intuition, like I just said, taking the step back and sort of, assessing the situation, and not being so rigid and sort of stuck in your ways, which I think is really cool. I think that's awesome. You cut out a little bit, so I missed a couple of the beginning part, but so you're taking people, individuals, and sort of walking them through that path. Is that what you were saying at the beginning, where you're walking them through the process of becoming more intuitive?
Yeah, well, I help people
Yeah,
own those parts of
right,
themselves, because every single person has it. And it's not like sacred masculine skills are bad. It's great when we can be logical and be active and be driven and determined, right? Those are
right,
good things. But when that's all we do,
right.
when, and it's not
There's a balance. You need the balance, right, between the two.
then, you know, and we get out, exactly, we get out of balance.
Right,
So it's so exactly as you said, I just help encourage people to because systems can be rigid, not people necessarily, right? Because
right.
people are both, but systems can be rigid. So entrepreneurs are here to like
To
blow open those
break
systems,
open
right?
exactly break
Yeah.
break through the barriers. So let me I like doing this a little bit. I've done it with a couple different people in sort of their realm. So walk me through, if I came to you and I said, hey Andrea, guide me through this, like what would be sort of some, I mean, I'm not asking you to do a 30-minute session, but if you were just saying, hey Justin, we've known each other for a very short period of time, but here are some things, maybe tips, ideas, tricks, some things that maybe you can look at, maybe you ask some pointed questions, maybe, I don't know, what would be the first 10 minutes of a conversation with somebody who just, you kind of sat down with, who is looking to work with you, and the Sacred Feminine, Learning Lodge?
Well, I have I have sacred circles that I hold every Tuesday.
Okay.
And so one of the things and I hold retreats in Hawaii that people can come and be a part of. And I was planning my first Lead Like a Goddess. That got canceled. So,
Yeah. In
well,
Hawaii? In
no,
Hawaii?
no, the retreats got canceled in Hawaii too. But
Okay.
yes, I hold. So just to back up something you said, as soon as I focused in on having retreats for women, all these men wanted to go, are you doing one for men? Are you doing one for men? So I did, I had 2 booked, one for men and for women. So there you go. Once you focus in, the world notices anyway.
Right.
So my question, or to answer your question, I have these different places for people to come, and it is to get quiet and to get to know you, the inner you.
Right.
Because we're so busy doing, that takes us externally. So one of the first things I do is to help people go inward. And of course, that's like unknown territory to a lot of people.
Sort
Like,
of uncomfortable for people. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah. So I make it gentle. I make it, I give space for it. And I just help people learn to recognize that these are skills. This is sexy skill set. This makes us more balanced. This actually allows us to show up in life being grounded and open and compassionate. And these are becoming sexy skills to have.
Yeah.
Becoming, right?
Yeah, definitely. You want to know something funny? You mentioned it. Have you watched The Last Dance with the Michael Jordan? series? Maybe,
No,
maybe not. Are you a sports fan at all, or?
occasionally, yeah.
Okay, so Michael Jordan, Chicago
Yeah.
Bulls, and his Last Dance. It's on Netflix, 10 episodes. The reason I brought it up was in the last episode, they talk about, or one of the last episodes, they talk about maybe his greatest skill is not his ability to jump or shoot or whatever, was the fact that he was present. He was
Mm,
always present. And they talk about
brilliant.
how, like, he could walk into the arena and he was there. Like he was, talking with the whether it's the security guard, like he was 100% present at all times. And when he got on the
Wow.
court, he was focused on playing basketball and nothing but. And when he was on the edge, he was focused on play. Like, it was always 100% present, which I thought was kind of interesting because, my wife is actually a social worker, so it's not like I'm completely, everyone jokes that I'm more the business side. She's maybe the social side. I have a bit of both, and I understand both. But to see and hear that at such a scale, as the greatest athlete or one of the greatest ever, that was maybe his greatest skill, was being present, was kind of cool to hear that. So I think that would lead to what you were saying about, being sort of in the moment, taking a step back, understanding where you are, being comfortable with yourself, right? In that moment. So it's kind of
Brilliant.
interesting.
Great
Yeah.
example. Great example.
So, but
Because getting present is huge.
yeah, exactly.
Because most of
So,
us are forward or like future, or past, and
right.
just got to be present.
Just be, yeah. I mean, I joke with my kids, like, yesterday is history, tomorrow is a mystery, right? That's why they call today the present.
Yeah.
Anyways, so let's what would be, if you could throw a couple things to people that are in their own home, that they don't have the opportunity to necessarily come to one of your retreats, say myself, in the next little bit of time, what would be, something that you could say, hey, this is something you can try at home to kind of get in touch with that, the feminine side? Like, what are some maybe at home, I don't want quick fixes. This is probably not the quick fix, but just maybe some ideas that maybe someone could play with while they're at home, or sort of thoughts that they could sort of work through.
Well, it's so funny because I could just, I do have a free, it's called the Four Sacred Bodies Ritual. So,
Okay.
To me, they're not quick because it came from me, and to, you know, require a little bit of explanation.
Right.
So,
What was it again?
I
It cut out there. Is what was it called? Is it a
it's
video
called the
course, or?
Four. Uh, is where it's an audio thing, and you can have me
Okay.
talking you through an 11 minute and 11-second process called
Okay. You cut out again there. Repeat it again. Sorry. You cut out. Say it again. Just say the title again.
the Four Sacred Bodies Ritual.
The Four Sacred Bodies Ritual. Okay, cool. Is that
And
a site, or
it's at on my website,
okay,
andreamenard.com,
okay,
and that's my circle. I take you through a live version of it,
okay,
and you can take home um, an audio version for free. You can just take it, and it's me walking you through getting. Well, here's the little explanation: is that your four bodies in the indigenous culture, we believe in the medicine wheel of the person. So every person has four sacred bodies:
okay,
the physical body, the emotional body, the mental body, and the spiritual body.
okay,
As we stand in the center with those, and every one of those bodies has a way of communicating with us.
right,
But most of us probably operate in one. That's our dominant body, and we just tend to show up that way. People see us that way, and that's the one we're most familiar with. But we have four, and we are much more than just one. So I take you through a way of communicating, of how to connect with them and to listen to how they communicate with us.
It's interesting. So let me ask a dumb question, maybe. Which of the four do most people typically reside in or present, or is it a
There is,
variance between?
it's so all over.
Yeah.
And some people think, oh, I'm this. And then they do some more of the inner work and go, oh my gosh, I'm this. Oh, and it could be you started out this way in your early part of your life and now you're this way. So there's nothing, you are four. You are four
Right.
bodies, or according to Indigenous. I think in other traditions there's
Oh, yeah.
5 or 7, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
for
It's
me, there's 4.
yeah.
So you will access different parts, but when you purposely and intentionally get to know them and get to know how um, sacred they are and how sacred you are, like, oh my gosh, I've been missing an entire part of myself.
Right.
When you discover those things, how you show up in life and how people see you might change. So there's no right answer.
And it's growth, right? As an individual, right? Being able
Yeah.
to dive in. And it might, as you said and alluded to, it might be slightly uncomfortable for some people to uncover things, but that's all about growth and progress, right? So that's really cool. That's interesting. So I think, and I appreciate obviously joining me, and I don't want to take all of your afternoon here. Where are you? You're in West Coast, so you're from Manitoba, but you're in, I'm assuming, somewhere in BC, or
I'm in Vancouver.
you're in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Right in Vancouver. Whereabouts?
Right in the heart of Vancouver.
Right in the heart of
The
Vancouver.
West End. Yeah.
Perfect. So whenever we all come out to Vancouver, we can crash at your place. There you go. Awesome. My wife's actually also from Vancouver out there, so we love it out there. Amazing. The weather's amazing, and then summers out there are great. So lots of outdoor activity, especially if you're talking about what you're referring to, getting out and sort of connecting, with nature. I think is also another maybe way of getting external. I think I'm going to put words in your mouth, but you've got your 4 internal. I'm sure there's that external world of being able to connect with nature as well, which I'm sure is great as well. I want to talk though about your. I watched it, the TEDx. So tell us a little bit about your TEDx talk, which was Silent No More. I think it's a very interesting topic. Tell the audience, brief synopsis of what the talk was about and the reactions you've gotten from that.
Silent No More is the name of my TEDx talk. I did TEDx Stanley Park here in Vancouver, which was one of the big ones. And my topic was Silent No More: Using Your Voice to End Violence Against Women.
Right.
And so this was right. It was my TEDx talk literally was happening at the same time as the Me Too movement. It was so strange. So it was my opening my throat and speaking publicly about the sexual violence I'd experienced as a teenager. But it wasn't even that. It was about the rise of the sacred feminine. It was about from being silent to speaking. This time, like, these stories have been silent about violence, and had the masculine, or the male counterpart, how silent this whole thing has been. And so in the rise of the sacred feminine, there's no more, like, it's just rising. So all of those quiet, secret voices are just, they're opening up. So my talk was about encouraging people to use their voice. And as a singer and as a speaker and as an actor, this was something that this throat being closed has been something I had experienced, but I use my voice for a living.
Right.
So it was about how if someone like me can have no voice, then, I encourage everyone to have their voice. So, yeah.
To be stand up and be heard, stand up and be counted for, right?
And to no more silence around it. I wrote a song called Silent No More as well. That is in conjunction. That was created in conjunction with my video of that too. Silent No More TEDx and Silent No More song.
Do you want to sing a couple lines from the song so we can hear your voice? Not to throw you under the bus, but you're a singer.
I'm a singer, right?
Yeah.
When birds of a feather sing and take wing together, a murmur becomes a roar. When 1 plus a billion voices soar, there can be more. Be silent no more.
Awesome. Awesome. There you go. That was very awesome. That was beautiful. I appreciate you doing that. We didn't practice that. We didn't anticipate that. That was completely 100% off the cuff there. Well, I guess again, Andrea, I really appreciate you joining me. For all of those who are watching, where can they connect with you? I think the sacred feminine, concept is, maybe I've worded it differently in my head. And I think that whole creativity, getting in, the intuitive side of yourself and being very self-aware is of the utmost importance. And I think one of the things that you mentioned, I myself, maybe as a younger adult and in my teens, were a different me than maybe where I am now. And I've, definitely transitioned from one to the other. Who knows which of the four? I'm definitely going to go look at your, check out your site and look at the, those four. Say it again. What's the title of it? The four sacred
bodies ritual.
Bodies ritual. Okay, perfect. So I'm going to check that out.
If people go to AndreaMenard.com, they can find all that. Yeah,
they can figure it out. Perfect. Awesome. Well, Andrea, is there any last things you'd like to throw out there? Anything you'd want to say to anyone?
I'm just really honored to share this space with you and to reach your community of fabulous entrepreneurs. It's amazing.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, Andrea, thank you again for joining me. For those of you, this is Ask the Experts, and I will see you again.
OMG, baby, tell them.